Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the player rating show after Liverpool beat Aston Villa, thankfully by 2-1. Tough game for Liverpool, but this title is not over and I am here to rate the players out of 10 for this one. So I'm going to start with the goalkeeper. I'm going to start with the man between the six, Mr. Alisson Becker. I'm going to go straight out there. If you want to give him your votes as well, then just put in there Alisson and then the number or whatever into the YouTube comments and I'll read some of them out. Maybe like a little one-liner about why you thought they deserved the mark that you've given them as well, please. And that will help me. So I'm going to start then with Alisson Becker. I'm going to throw my vote in there. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I thought in one-on-ones, whether they counted or they didn't count, he was absolutely exceptional. I thought, you know, there was a moment, wasn't there? A big moment where he lost his head a little bit, passed the ball straight to their player, and then ends up having to like scurry around the ground and stuff like that. But eventually gets the ball away. After that, that elite mentality that he has means that he can just sort of, you know, put it to one side, and then he played really, really well. He was in everybody's head. He was in Danny Ings' head. He was in Ollie Watkins' head. He got into everybody's head. Phil Coutinho's, everyone else, all of that, all of the time, all of the time. Yes, thank you, Alisson Becker, 8 out of 10. Dynamic Video says 8. The Red Guy 8 says 8. Andy App says, I'm giving him a 7 just for that moment. Jamie Mack, one of our YouTube members as well, Ali 7. 8, the one-on-one save us, says B2B Football. Couldn't do anything about the goal. In fact, he makes 2 big saves. Apparently, you'd be better off letting the first one in from Ollie Watkins so that their goal is given us offside, rather than try and save the ball, which you are trained to do from a young age as a goalkeeper, I think. Then that comes in, ball comes back in again. He makes the save again, couldn't make the double save. He was absolutely superb. But Alisson, got to let them in apparently, because that's now the thing, isn't it? First phase of play, second phase of play, third phase of my fucking arse don't give a shit. Stop being stupid and ruining football. So we're going to move on then to, I'll go with Trent Alexander-Arnold next, actually. I don't know why I'm switching it around. I just feel like switching it around. I'm going to go half marks for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Leave me yours in the comments, of course. Trent gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I thought he defended really well. Don't get me wrong. There was a madness creeping in across the back line during that goal that shouldn't have been a goal. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, after that moment, from 3 minutes on, I thought he defended really, really well. And I actually thought, you know, when we were pushing on later on in the game, last 20, 30 minutes and all that type of stuff, looking for that final goal, that killer goal, that winning goal that we did eventually get, that Trent actually then started to play really well going forward. He has a couple of free kicks that go reasonably close as well. His deliveries were good all game long. He was switching the play really well. I just thought it was a decent game from him, which is why I've given him a 7.5 out of 10. The Sin Shin says Trent 7.5, agreed. Dynamic Videos, Trent 7. And the app says Trent 8. Trent 5, hardly lost many balls. I'm not sure how you give him a 5 there, to be honest with you, Shinrath. Musa Diop says 8 out of 10, Trent 8 for Julian as well. I think we're all there or thereabouts. Joel Matip, I thought he was really, really good. Gets the goal that gets us back in the game, first and foremost, is alive to it, gets on the end of that Virgil van Dijk cross shot, deflection, whatever, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I thought defensively he held up well to it. You know, they were trying to get in behind him. I think a few moments first half where, you know, they did probably get in behind Van Dijk and Matip, but once the game wore on, once we got that little bit of control from the midfield, actually when Jordan Henderson came on, then I think that Matip and Van Dijk stepped up their levels. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10, and because, you know, extra mark for scoring a goal. Sin Chin says Matip 8, Matip 8.5 says Shea, Matip 9 says the Red Guy, Matip 8 says Andrew Morgan. So he loves an adventure, says Jamie, and he absolutely does love an adventure. He went a couple of them, cut one of his vacations or adventures short, but continued, and obviously gets a goal early does. Virgil van Dijk, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I thought, you know, he gets an assist for a start, or I'm giving him the assist. I don't know whether it's a recognised assist, but I thought he was really good as well. That one where Phil Coutinho's running at him, you know, Matip does well, holds his position, goes with the man that's running on the left-hand side of the penalty area, gives Van Dijk the space and time to recover, to get over there and not force Phil Coutinho into a pass across to a free man. Great play by Matip, great play by Van Dijk as well to then get in there and basically just stare Phil Coutinho down. And he did that a couple of times, actually, you know, whether it was Watkins or whether it was Wendy later on or Phil Coutinho or Danny Ings. I think he dealt with most situations really well, so I'm giving him an 8. Since Van Dijk 7.5. Andy says 8.5. Big Verge 8, says Ryan. 7 was lacking for me, considering how amazing he can be, says B2B Football. Each to their own, I suppose, in that regard. Kostas Tsimikas, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I don't think he started particularly well, to be honest with you. A few loose passes and stuff, but there was a couple of really good corners later on in the game, of course, and I thought he did really well. You know, he's been sat in the cold for a little while now, and we've had a couple of substitute appearances and whatever, but I think his level was generally there or thereabouts. You know, I've given Trent a 7.5. I'm going to give Kostas a 7.5 as well. Thought he did well bombing down the outside. You know, that one where Mane does that little flick to him and he gets to the byline, wins as a corner. That was pretty nice as well. But he's always there or thereabouts causing problems for Villa, whether he's going on the overlap and just dragging a man to create a little bit of space for someone to cut back inside and go at the penalty area, or whether he's actually delivering the ball himself. I think a little bit too early on in the game, you know, we may be taking crosses. Both fullbacks can be accused this from crossing from deep a little bit too much, but generally speaking, as the game get on, I think Kostas got more of it. Jamie says Kostas is 7, good going forward, made some sensible decisions. Andy says Kostas 7. Andrew Morgan says 7.5. Kostas, Energizer Bunny after shaky start, 7.5 from Julian. And don't, oh yeah, sorry, there we go. Tyler JG says, don't forget that tackle too, Mr. Pajak. Oh my days, what an incredible sort of potentially goal-saving tackle that one was. Putting your body on the line, getting all the ball, nothing but the ball and everything but the ball, and putting the ball out of play for a corner kick as well. So that was absolutely superb, so yeah, brilliant. Fabinho, I think it was one of his poorest games I've seen for a long time, if I'm being frank. You know, plays 30 minutes, goes off. Jürgen's already spoke, hasn't he, in his press conference then, says, look, and Paul Joyce tweeted this actually along the lines of, Fabinho seems to think he's okay, but I don't know what that means. He's going to be looked at. Jürgen, when he spoke to Sky after the game, just said, look, I hope he's going to be okay, but I don't know. Right now, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking ahead to Chelsea at the weekend in the FA Cup final. I'm thinking, do you risk him? There's a chance of him being back for the final 2 league games or the Champions League final. Do you risk Fabinho? He's got to be in perfect nick, I think, for him to play against Chelsea. I really do. And we've got a really able understudy in the captain, Jordan Henderson. But for Fabinho's performance itself, I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. He gave the ball away at least 3 times that I can remember. One with a poor touch, couple with a poor passing and stuff. I don't know whether it was the numbers that Aston Villa had, whether it was Phil Coutinho being in that sort of 10, helping to press, or the 3 midfielders pushing on him, making it difficult to get the ball to Keita and Keita Jones. But Fabinho, uncharacteristically poor start to the game, didn't have the opportunity to improve like a lot of the other players did. But for me, yeah, I don't know whether I'm being harsh there, but 5 out of 10. Haku says 5.5. Tyler JG says 4.5. Jack Jones says 5 out of 10. Alan 888 says all the starting boys did well to grind out the win. Come on, Redmen, keep fighting. Way to Dawn says surprised Fabinho started. To be honest, thought Hender would start in the 6th. I did as well. I predicted that on my starting 11 prediction. Unfortunately, we were wrong, and now because of that, potentially Fabinho might have gone a game too long and just obviously got that look like a hammy injury of some description. Fingers crossed that he will be okay though. I'm going to move on next then to Naby Keita. Little bit. I imagine this is going to polarise opinion slightly, Naby Keita, because I had a quick look on Twitter before the game. I was listening to Jürgen talking and stuff. It's not something I normally do between ending the watch-alongs and doing the player ratings and stuff. I tend to just sort of zone in and write what I can remember about each player down, so that I've got at least something to say about every player. But I did look, and a lot of people were saying, like, Naby, they thought he was shit, and a lot of people thought he was excellent. I thought he was somewhere in between, to be honest. I think he had really bright sparks, really bright moments. You know, for me, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. But, you know, other times it was just a little bit more 7 out of 10 or whatever. You know, he has that one, doesn't he, where he has that shot and somehow manages to meg himself with the football. And I don't understand how he's done that when later on in the game he can hit a volley from 30 yards and it nearly sort of thingies goes in. So he showcased both sides of him there, didn't he? But one thing I will say is, and why I've given him a higher mark than the likes of Kostas and Trent, is I thought he did really well at winning the ball back in key moments of the game. And, you know, winning his ground duels, putting pressure onto Aston Villa so they can't build up. When Liverpool gained control in the game, when Jordan Henderson came on, it was when Naby Keita was finding little pockets of space and being able to turn, driving the team forwards, and that's when Liverpool started to look at their best for me, when Naby Keita got involved. He obviously has that one where that's just a great play, he's wiggling through and he misses it. It happens, it is one of them. So Naby Keita, 7 for Naby, says Jack Jones. TF Def says, either tell Pajak to start writing down the ratings on the board or have Steve do them, period. Nah, don't like it. I like to be able to talk. This is why I do it. And it takes me out of my flow, mate. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, mate. But, you know, nah, in your face. Chris Naby, first half bad, second good. Hope no injury, says Perry Churgan. Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. Hope Fabinho doesn't get an injury. Naby lad, says Genie 20, Keita 6.5. Okay, moving on then. I'm going to go Keita Jones. I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I think for large, well, certainly the start of the game. Again, I mentioned it with Naby Keita and stuff, just found it a little bit difficult, didn't he? So for me, Keita Jones looked sort of good when he was able to get his foot on the ball and start to play. Again, he won some of the ground duels. He won 5 of 6 of his ground duels, actually. But we weren't... It took him a little while for me to get into the game, but once he got into the game, he was all right. In fact, I'm going to knock that down to a 7 out of 10. 7 for Jones is Alien Ape. Jones was fine. Jones 6.5 out of 10. Worked hard, but got pushed around a little bit, said Stuart Armstrong. Near the end of the first half, started to play his footy and created chances, says Milan Thanky. Haku said 6.5, 7, looked bright at times, 7.5, not bad for Jones. So yeah, 7 for me as well. Jones was actually sound, definitely better than Keita, the red guy, number 8. So we'll move on then to, let's go with the Luis Diaz next, live wire that he is. I don't think, he's not the same player on the right as the left for me. Still loved what he's able to do. Still, every time he gets the ball, I'm excited. But I just think you're taking maybe a sort of weapon out of his arsenal, because he's not going to put you under pressure and cut inside and try and get them shots off in quite the same way as he is, because he's so comfortable on that left-hand side. But it's about rotating. It's about doing a job for the team right now. It's about resting Mo Salah and stuff like that. So I understand there. I don't think he had a bad game. I think he had a good game, actually. You know, I give him an 8 out of 10 for this one. You know, he gets an incredible assist when he's over on that left-hand side. And the way that he's able to do that, you know, it's a good ball by Jota to free Diaz over the top, actually, first and foremost. Stands his man up, in step, hits it hard, almost no curl on the ball. Perfect for Sadio Mane to just sort of naturally reactionary sort of header into the bottom corner. That assist, it was world class. It really, really was world class. Stuart Armstrong again, what a player he is. This was his off, they'd absolutely take that. Defender scramble to chase him down, which opens up space for others easily. An 8 out of 10, exactly what I said, 8 out of 10. Red guy, 8 out of 10. Diaz 7, says weighted down. Could kiss Diaz, 8.5. 8 for Diaz, says Genie 20. Some little beer emojis as well. Diogo Jota on the other hand, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Again, I think a lot of people will probably be quite low on Diogo Jota's performance today. We had a couple of key passes. One pass that I particularly enjoyed, as I've just mentioned, was that one over the top to Diaz, for Diaz to then get the assist in the goal. I think he's a lot quieter on that left-hand side. Like, he's a different type of dribbler. He likes to be direct and running almost sort of straighter lines than he likes of Sadio Mane or Luis Diaz. And he was nowhere near as involved as Luis Diaz or Sadio Mane. But that doesn't mean to say I think he had a crap game. Waiter Dawn said 4 out of 10 for Jota. Ryan says Jota 7 out of 10. Timothy says 7 for Jota, a little better than the last few games. I'd agree with that. I think that's a nice way of putting it, actually. Jota's hit a bit of a rough patch, but he just needs a goal to reignite his confidence, to be honest, says Milan. Alien Ape says Jota 6.5, was not very involved, but he did okay. Red Guy says 6 for Jota. He needs centre forward, not on the wing. I tend to agree with that as well. He looks much more dangerous. Centre forward position, but you've got a man who's banging form in the centre position, and he's a problem for everybody in the league right now, and that man's name is Sadio Mane. For me, man of the match by a country mile. Apologies, we can't get the vote thing working today. So if you do want to leave a man of the match, just put MOTM in the comments and put the name of your fella, and I'll sort of get a good estimate of who you think is man of the match. For me, it was Sadio Mane. For me, it was a 10 out of 10 performance. You know, that header in and of itself was absolutely superb, but the work rate he showed time and time again, telling people to come forward, to press Aston Villa high up the pitch and stuff, to be able to head that ball in, I don't get how he's doing it. He's literally running backwards and just knocks it in there, and it's absolutely superb. It's as instinctive as you're going to get. You know, he had a key pass as well, wins a lot of his duels there, and contests a lot of them against big guys and defenders and stuff, able to stick the ball at his feet, has a couple of really nice sort of cheeky little back heels and flicks, and cheeky volley to the back post, wasn't it? Was it Jota coming in there when it almost takes it off Salah? You know, he has that header that just goes wide as well. I can't remember if that was from a corner, but it just goes wider and wide and probably high as well. And he kind of willed us to win for me, Sadio Mane. And it's just this humility that he shows afterwards as well. Like, he loves this football club. He is able to play on the right wing. He is able to play on the left wing. And he might be best of all in the centre forward position right now. Defenders are struggling to mark him. Defenders are struggling to get the ball off him. And he's learning this role. And he's getting better and better and better at it. It was a 10 out of 10 performance for me. Chris, can you sing "Oh Mane, Mane"? No. Luke Gorchie says man of the match. Mane, 9. Man of the match was Hendo though. It's a good shout. It's a fair shout as well. Good kiss, Mane, says Tyler again. Oh, you're kissing all the boys tonight, my friend. 9.5 out of 10. Moving on then to the first substitute. 30 minutes in, the game is scruffy. The Liverpool aren't in control of the game. Liverpool are losing the ball in the middle of the park. The captain swans in, no warm up, almost instantly gains control for Liverpool. Puts us on the front foot, shouting at players all the time. Trent Alexander-Arnold got an earful. Everyone got an earful from the captain, and everyone always gets an earful from the captain. It's what the captain does at Liverpool. And I just thought he was brilliant. Just a safe pair of hands when you needed a safe pair of hands. Knew when to play fast, knew when to go slow, knew when to take the ball, knew when to try and hit it long, knew when to try and break. It really was a game-changing performance by Jordan Henderson. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Rock solid, says Ryan. 8 out of 10. Completely agree. Sincere says 8. Red Guy, 8.5. Captain's performance, 8.5, says Milan. Hendo, 8 out of 10, my man of the match as well. So it's close by the looks of it for man of the match for Hendo or Sadio Mane at this point. I'm going to go with Sadio Mane because that's the player that I think was the man of the match, so apologies. I'm going to go look at Thiago next then. Thiago for me was again just a player that you wanted to bring on because you kind of understood that if Liverpool are going to move the ball forwards quickly, he's probably the guy. I thought it was a good little performance from Thiago, not his best, but then I think he needs a bit more time on the field. So a 7 out of 10 performance. Mo Salah probably a 6.5 out of 10 for me, Mo. He looks sharp at times, but then not sharp at other times, and maybe that's a lad who's not in banging form at the moment. But yeah, generally speaking, I've got no concerns over Mo Salah. He is literally one of the best players in world football. So yeah, I suppose that's it, isn't it? I'm going to have a look at what everyone else is saying. Salah 6 out of 10, Mo Salah 4 out of 10, says Abdurrad Farah. Seems a little bit harsh to me. Salah just looks so annoyed at not being on the pitch as Alien Ape, and Thiago's the metronome we need in midfield, says Topeng Bristol. So there you go. That has been the player rating show. Me and Ross are going to be back for the instant match reaction over on Redmen Plus. Probably about 11:15, something like that. Maybe 11:10 if we can get it turned around in time. So if you haven't, you've got plenty of time to go over to redmenplus.com and sign up. We've got here for you during the run-in, of course, is the FA Cup final next week. Me and Paul and Tom are going down. We're going to be recording some content on the Friday. We're obviously going to be recording content on the Saturday as well. It promises to be an incredible game. Over to you, Manchester City.
Thank you so much for checking the video out. If you want more from us, then do consider joining Redmen Plus, which funds everything we do here for free on YouTube. But not just that, we're going to give you a whole bunch of incredible Liverpool content in podcast and in video form, extra Redmen TV shows and documentaries, features and interviews with Liverpool legends past and present. Get closer to the city, to the football club that we all love on redmenplus.com. Click the button, head over there now.